Hello friends, welcome into my craft room. Can you even believe that it's April? How did that happen? How did this year already go by so quickly? Today's episode we're going to be doing some everyday farmhouse spring crafts that I hope you enjoy. Now come along and let's make something beautiful for our homes. I was at the Dollar Tree and I came across this darling basket for basketball for the Easter season, and I wanted to turn it into a farmhouse lattice basket. I love this rope detail that you would see on a net of a basketball hoop. I thought this looked like lattice work for a farmhouse decor piece. I'm going to be using 3 bundles of rope from their craft section, and it's really simple, but I'm still going to walk you through the steps just in case you've never wrapped a rope around a basket so that you get a nice clean finish. Never use a ton of glue. I'm just using thin lines of glue as I go. That's going to keep the glue from squishing out between the rope pieces and going everywhere. Wrap all the way around the first time on the bottom rim of this basket. The rope fits perfectly in that spot. And then when you get to the handle and you've come back all the way around, go underneath the joint of where that handle meets the side of the basket, and you're just going to continue to push down, making sure the rope is coming together without glue squishing everywhere. And you're going to repeat that going all the way around until your length of your rope is about this long. And you can see that I can go around to the other handle one more time. But before I do that, I'm now going to stop and work on the handle. This is going to give us a really clean look on the rope so that it is all welded together nicely. At this point, you can see that I've started the handle, I've gone around, and I'm going to wrap it as tightly as I can. And I wrap around about 3 times and then I put a dot of glue. And I'm just going to keep going all the way over to the other side. When I get to the other side, at this point, we need to be able to finish off the handle and also make it look really tidy, because it can be really easily messed up if you don't make sure you're pulling it as tight as you can as you're bringing it down to the bottom. You don't want to see any of the orange. And you're going to have extra rope, as you see here. I'm going to just tuck that inside the basket for now, and I'm going to go back to the first rope. At this point, I'm going to bring that rope all the way around to the other side of the handle, finishing off the first rope. I'm going to glue that down into place, and once I do, I'm going to cut off that extra piece. So you can see that I'm just pushing down as hard as I can, finishing off that first rope. And at this point, we're now coming up around the top of the rim of the basket. Just keep pushing it down nice and neat, and then cut off the extra piece, and you're going to cut it off where that second rope from the handle is leaning inside the basket. We're going to use that second rope to help conceal all of that work. We don't want to see all that mess. Take the second rope and go around, and I came around the back side of the handle one more time before I started to curve around into the middle of the basket. At that point, you can see that I need to trim off that extra rope because it's not long enough, and I bring up my third bundle of rope. This is going to be the bundle of rope that's going to help us finish off the completed wrapping of the top of this basket, and it's going to look so nice. So just keep coiling around. You move on the inside of the handle, coiling all the way around on the inside where you're covering up all of the orange. When you get all the way around and you've completed the full circling of it and there's no more orange, go ahead and cut it and glue it into place. Now this is what it looks like. I decided to give it a farmhouse flair look. I really like a little bit of distressing, so I'm taking my craft stick and some white paint, and I'm very roughly rubbing it all over. Now I know that this looks like a mess right here, but I promise you it's going to look so good when I'm done. And I wanted to really push it into the rope so you see a lot of that texture from the rope. So I just took some white beads and I'm just kind of rubbing it into it, making it soak into the rope fibers. Once I've got that all done and it's dry, I took a beautiful burlap bow that I made. I'm going to glue that onto the front. And then I'm going to come on the inside of the basket and add some supportive glue on the inside. When it's done, I'm going to put a plant inside of it. Just wait. Look at how beautiful this is. What a fun farmhouse project. I hope you give this one a try. I found the perfect things from the Dollar Tree to be able to do that. We're going to take one of these mirror round frames from their home section. We need 3 of these smaller circles from these wooden bamboo circles. And then we need 8 dowel sticks from the crafting section. Go ahead and take your first circle, and we're going to measure it where it's a little bit off from being halfway in the middle to cut. And you're going to see here in just a second, one side is going to be a little bit shorter, and there's a reason for that. When I line up the top part of these together, you can see that it's shorter here. Why we needed to do that was so that one of them, the smaller one, is going to go inside our second ring, and then the other part, the longer one, is going to come over the top for the second part of the dome. And the reason why we need to do that is so that it makes it that full reach all the way over and around without it looking short on the sides. Now make sure you get everything in place before your hot glue starts to dry so that it's not crooked and it's where you want it to be. Now we're going to take those craft sticks. Be careful with this part because it's easy to burn your fingers if that dowel stick rolls in your fingers. But go ahead and glue 2 of them together, and then I'm going to just add some more glue in between that joint and go down it with some hot glue and a popsicle stick so that it's really stuck in place and nice and strong. Then go ahead and glue them on the inside of your dome that you created at the top, and you're going to now take a third one of those circles. And you can use embroidery hoops for this too, by the way. This totally works with the embroidery hoops as well if you can find the right size to fit in these frames. So you can see that I added a third one, and I glued those on to the dowel sticks with that circle. And I'm going to go ahead and remove the mirror off of the inside of that frame because we don't want that piece in there since we're going to just be simply using the frame and the back cardboard piece. Go ahead and glue that piece on there, and then add on some more glue around the sides, and you can see that these smaller circles fit inside of the frame perfectly. It was like they were meant to be together. Go ahead and paint your dome whatever color you want. I'm going to go with black so we have that beautiful antique farmhouse look, almost primitive farmhouse, which I just think that is such a beautiful look, especially around springtime going into summer. I love the black with the rust. So I added on some brown paint, some cinnamon. Once it was dried, I went ahead, dusted it off, and then I came back in with some black paint to touch up anywhere I felt like there was too much rust. For this DIY organization craft, we're going to be using 2 of these fall long signs, 4 of these smaller crates, and 2 of these smaller wooden trays, all from the Dollar Tree. And they do have these signs all year long in this shape, so just find one at whatever current holiday you're in and be able to pick up 2 of the same ones. You want to make sure the width is the same as the boxes. So now I'm going to come in with some of my E6000. I'm just putting globs all around the board, and then I'm going to come in with my hot glue, filling around the sides and a little bit in the middle, because we're going to be bringing these 2 boards together. We want to make sure the pressed particle board is on the outside that doesn't have any of that artwork stuck to it. We want to see that particle board. Then I'm going to clip on these clips so it makes it hold in place while it's drying. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to come at the bottom of these particle boards, And I'm going to add in some wood glue and some hot glue so that I can glue on my tray. I'm going to make sure that it's flat and even with the board so that it will be able to stand up on its own. Then I'm going to come around on the back side and do the exact same thing. We're sandwiching these trays with the board in the middle. Once you've got those glued into place and they're nice and straight, go ahead and move up towards the top, and you're going to need to figure out your spacing that you want these crates to be. It just depends on how tall of items you want to be able to fit in them. I kind of just figured out where I liked it by eyeballing it, and now I'm going to use the same glue combo and start gluing on all of these crates. Once I've got all 4 of them glued on, I'm going to go ahead and move on to doing a kind of sloppy job. I'm using finger quotes right now, but I'm kind of doing like a rough job of the white paint. I'm going for a farmhouse look with this one, and I painted the particle board a solid white, but the crates I'm just roughly going over adding white paint because I wanted to have that distressed look. Then I'm coming in with some dark brown paint, and I'm just going to distress all around it. Now I happen to love these garden tags, and they come out around the springtime. Sometimes you can find them in the floral section throughout the year at the Dollar Tree, so just keep an eye out for these. I love these tags because they make your projects look so farmhouse, and I don't know, I just think that they look really cute on there. So I took 6 of them and I popped off the stakes, and then I glued them onto my 4 crates and my 2 trays to complete the look, and you can use them as labels with a chalk pen. When you go to the Dollar Tree, they have lots of different glass options and jars that you can work with. Go ahead and pick whatever jar you want. This is one that I have on hand. And then I'm going to link these little knobs that I get from Amazon down below in my description box. Go ahead and take your drill and drill right into the center of your can lid or your jar lid. Take your time so that you don't, number 1, hurt your table, and number 2, hurt yourself. Go ahead and drill all the way through, and then I took outside my lid and spray painted it black. My jar I spray painted it white, and then I added some washers onto that screw because it was a little too long. Added some hot glue up into the knob itself and tightened it. Now at this point we're going to go ahead and bring in that rustic farmhouse look. You can always skip this part if this rustic look is not for you, but I just think it looks so pretty, and we're going for that antique farmhouse look with this one. So go ahead and rough up your glass jar with some sandpaper. Go ahead and glue on your little garden tag that I get from the garden section at the Dollar Tree. I'm using some E6000 and hot glue so it really bonds on well to the jar. And then go ahead and dust off that brown paint and cinnamon once it's all nice and dry. Touch up any of that rust look if it's a little too much for you. I just come back in with some brown paint and pat right on top and rub it into that cinnamon, and it really gives it a realistic rust look. Then go ahead and put the lid on, and you've got yourself a rustic antique farmhouse jar. For this project, we're going to be taking 3 of these crates and 4 of these tall glasses. Now, do you remember those tall candles? They have started selling the vases without the wax candles in them, which is so awesome. These are actually over in the floral section and over by the home stuff, like the home decor things. So it could also be by those candles that have the picture of the Savior on it. So go ahead and tape off your glass at halfway in the middle of it. And while those are outside drying, because I spray painted them white, we're going to go ahead and take these 3 boxes and we're going to glue them together. Once I've used some wood glue and some hot glue, because we want to make sure we're using that wood glue in there too for that long-term hold, I went ahead and took some dark brown paint, and I'm going to just brush that all over my box. This is going to give such a beautiful farmhouse French country look to it. Once that is all dry, and as well as the glass jars, go ahead and take off that painter's tape, put in some foam. I glued everything down in there, even, yes, the glass jars, because I'm not going to really put real water in this. I'm just going to always put faux flowers, and I have cats in my house, and I don't want them to knock these over. So I'm going to go ahead and just glue down in some boxwood and some Spanish moss. And then inside these glass jars, I can display some beautiful florals for whatever season and switch it out all year long. These wooden boxes have been so popular, and I know a lot of us still have them on hand. I know I personally do. So I'm going to take 6 of them, and then 2 of these trays, and I'm going to take 6 of these tumbling blocks. And all together, we're going to create a really easy to follow organization system for jewelry, for crafts, for game boards, whatever you have that you could use this for. It's a really easy project to put together. So you're going to see that I flipped around those boxes so that that pattern wood cutout is on the inside. I don't want to see that part. And now I'm going to just take some wood glue and some hot glue, and I'm going to pop that right at the top of that drawer that can come out. This is going to be the handle for it. Now I always like to clean up my glue. I don't like when things look sloppy and you can see glue going everywhere. So just use a popsicle stick for that to clean that up. And then I'm going to come underneath it to support that little handle. I'm doing a line of glue, and then I'm going to smooth it out so it has a nice clean finish. I would recommend, if you want to, you could always end up putting something on the inside of the box that will keep anything little from falling out through that wood cutout. It's just up to you what you want to put on the inside. Now we're going to take 3 of them using that same glue combo with the wood glue and the hot glue. And we are going to bring 3 boxes together to create a little tower. Once you've got your glue all on there, go ahead and line them up and figure out which side you want to be the flatter side. These are off by just a millimeter for most of the boxes, so make sure one side is nice and flat. Now what we're going to do, after building 2 of those towers where there's 3 of these crates together, we're going to take some glue, again, same combo, and then these trays, and you can see I'm only putting glue on half of the side of the tray. And that's because we're going to be angling the tray so that you can see what's inside of it and be able to reach in there really easy. Go ahead and angle it to the height that you would want, and you can see it right here that it's not flat to the floor or to the table. And then you're going to add some more glue. But friends, this is where I make the biggest mistake. Alert, alert. Don't glue on the second tower until you have glued on the second tray, and then glue on the second tower. You can see right here, instant regret when I glued on that second tower, because now I have to try to wedge in the second tray. I was wiggling around in there trying to get it to go in there. Glue was going all over the place, and I had to pick it all off. It came off easily, which was good. Then I'm going to go ahead and reinforce the bottom of this by adding some glue, bringing in my popsicle stick to smooth it out, and you have got yourself the coolest, easiest organization tray unit. Honestly, this is my all-time favorite glass jar at the Dollar Tree. I love the copper lid, and I did something with these a while ago. We're going to do something different for this episode, for this video. I am taking these jars, I took them outside, I spray painted them the moss green from Rust-Oleum, and after they were dry, we're going to go ahead and sand it to bring out the texture of that glass. I love that grid crisscross pattern. It is so beautiful, especially with that green paint. Go ahead and just rough up that top surface, wipe it down with a wipey, and in the end you've got beautiful storage jars that have that high-end French country farmhouse look. I hope these projects inspire you to create something in your own craft room for your home. I love creating projects to help me organize my home and make my spaces beautiful. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below to let me know which one you liked, which one you think you will try. And I'm going to recommend this video right here if you missed it. It's from the other day. I hope you take a second to click on it and watch. And until the next episode, bye friends.